Okay, I'm live. Okay. I am here now. Okay, so it looks like everything appears to be saying I'm live and all of that. There we go. So I hope I'm live. I don't know which way is better for me to do this. I'm going to leave it on OBS because that way I can see the audio meters and stuff too. And I can get the comments here too. So, all right. Is there anybody there? Ben, are you still there? Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, I want to move this a little bit. Can I? Well, you know, I guess I'll just do it this way. Because it doesn't say I have anybody yet. Okay, here we go. I have some viewers according to YouTube. All right. I'll give it a little while before I start the timer off. Just because, you know, I mean, I need the timer for myself, but I want to make sure I give enough people an actual opportunity to see what's going on. So I think today what I'm going to go ahead and start with, I suppose, is I'll go to the next bit where I can do some gameplay, I guess, here. So let me go to that bit of the broadcast possibility. Let's see where I'm at here. Let me find a... what did I want to do? I think I wanted to try to do... I think I've done these before, but... Hey, Mark, I think things are pretty well for the most part. How about yourself? Where is it at here? Okay, microphone. I think that's what I want to try. Okay. All right. Yeah, see, I have done these before, but they're pretty easy, so I figure I can do those, you know, while I'm chatting with you guys, and it's not, you know, whatever. Anyway, okay. So, Ben, hey, I am okay today. How are you today? Sunny Thief, yeah, how's it going with you too? Nice to see you guys here. Here, let me fiddle with, I guess this is okay, right? This is an all right spot for my, let me move this maybe just a little bit down like that. Maybe, is that better? Oops, no, leave that alone. Okay, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That looks like that might be all right. Pop, 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 pop. Right, yeah, thanks. Right on. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and start with, let's see, how do I do this one? I'm not sure I remember. But I think what I need to do, how's the audio levels, you guys? Hey, User47, how's it going? Is the stereo working and the audio levels okay and all that? Yikes. Well, I hope you... Are you over the sickness from 2 days ago? I hope, Ben. Sickness just sucks. Okay. Let me get over to here. Okay, audio volume is a little low. Okay, let me see what I can do about that. I think I might be able to do it from the software. Let me try that. Can I do gain? Yeah, let's see if I can do this. How's that for you guys? Is that better as far as the volume goes? Too much? Hey, Philip, I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so how's the audio? What's the consensus on audio? I did push it a little bit on the gain on the software, but... Well, that's good to hear, Ben. Make sure you, get rest, drink your fluids, the typical mom-type nag. Okay, thanks, Mark. All right. Okay, so let me see what I can manage with this game. Am I in the right window here? Let me make sure. There we go. Looks like I am. Okay. So I think, because I gotta get this one off there, which means I gotta get that guy out of the way. Then I need to push him up. Okay, I think I see what I need to do. I don't know if it's going to be the thing that gives me the good score or not, but I need to push that guy up. So I can push that guy out to get him up. That gets him up, but now I need to push him back. push this guy down. Now push that guy there. I think you want to do it this way, like that. No, that was too many moves. Well, it's good enough for today. So here we go. What are we doing with this one? Looks like you're just moving them, kind of doing a little rotation thing. Like this, like push this one there, push that one there, push that one there. Yeah, there you go. That's the easy one. Hey Brady, how's it going? Bop, 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 bop. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, I think alright, I think I need to go around like this. Push this one down like that. Nope, because then how do I get this one here? Herp, 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 herp. Oops, the dogs are going crazy upstairs. Because if I push that guy down, then I can't get behind that guy to push him here. So maybe that wasn't the right thing. Because if I put that guy first, then how do I get behind this guy to push him over here? So how did I do this before? Okay, maybe. Okay, let me see. Maybe if I go like this, like that, right? Push this guy up so I can get back behind him. Push this one down. Yeah, that's what you go. There we go. All right. Of course, that's way too many moves, but I'm not going to worry about the score this morning. Actually, there's only a little bit of morning left, but how many of us are there? There's only 12. I'll give it a few more minutes before I click on the timer. It's only 7 after. That's okay. That's not too bad. Hey, Neil. How's it going? Glad you could make it. Okay. I guess the obvious thing is to push this one down, push that one over, push that one over, push that one like that. And there you go. That's kind of the just basic easy thing, isn't it? All right. Moving forward. Oh, man. Okay. I think. All right, the only one I can really push is this one, because that's the only one I can get off a ledge from there. So I think I have to go around like this. Like that. Yeah, 27 moves, that's not so bad. So push that one down. Is that all there is to it? Is there anything trick to this? Seems like it's pretty straightforward, but sometimes these things are deceptive. Right? There's no reason not to do that, yeah? I don't know. User 47, okay, we've got, let me count, we've got, all right, so there's my dad and my eldest nephew kind of share ownership, custody, whatever you want to call it, of two pink nose pit bull. You know, they kind of have the tan and white coloring and their noses are pink. They're both like, I guess, about 10 years old now or something like that. They were rescued, so they're kind of weird. Oh, hey, Jonas. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Um, they're nice dogs. They're not really good guard dogs because they were really horribly abused, so they're kind of skittish around people. And the other thing is they don't sometimes always play well with the other dogs. So we have to kind of, well, there's only one dog really anymore that there's any issue with, so we kind of have to keep an eye and keep them separate sometimes. So there's the two pit bulls. Then my sister has two dogs. One is some kind of boxer something or other mutt, and the other one is quite a bit bigger, but not full-size lab, but she's a lab and something else. And then my middle niece, she has this little dog that's some kind of like Scotty Terrier, Dachshund, Chihuahua, something mix. Because my eldest niece has a dog that was a little Chihuahua something or other, and she was the mom of my niece's dog. She just kept one of the litters. And this guy Jarrell that lives with us, he's got one dog that's a little dachshund, but she's not a purebred. She's a dachshund and something else, but you know, she mostly looks like a dachshund. And then he also has a little Chihuahua whose name is Thor, and he thinks he's like, you know, he thinks he's a badass is what he thinks. He's this tiny little thing. Like, he could fit in the mouths of the pit bulls if they so decided. They could just eat him in a bite. But he thinks he's the king of the world. But so he's adorable. Well, until he gets actually challenged, then he runs away and, you know, whatever. But he, you know, he puts up a big bluster. Anyway, let me catch up with the comments. Felix, you know, I have not been reading any spiritual stuff lately. But I have an intermittent sort of, I guess it's part of my spiritual religiousness, although, you know, I'm an atheist, but I have my own kind of religion thing going on. And so part of that is my meditation practice. But I try to be mindful, and I'd like to think that my religion affects how I live my life. You know what I mean? So, you know, so there's that. But, yeah. But no, I haven't been reading anything. I have some things on my plate that I've been meaning to read, but not least of which is the Quran, because one of the listeners volunteered to say that they would help me. They're a Muslim, so they offered to help me, you know, because I've said that I've had problems with quite comprehending Islam a lot of times. You know, some of the more, I mean, I remember reading in I took a religions course, and you'd get the, you know, like you have to do the pilgrimage, and then there's the pillars and stuff, which I don't really remember, but that's all sort of like rudimentary, you know, like, you know, what you teach young kids kind of thing. So I didn't really get any deep understanding and what. Anyway, so I've always been a little confused about Islam, and so not really wanted to make any statements about it in any meaningful way. But they offered to, you know, give me guidance in my understanding. And I keep meaning to get to it, but I keep kind of putting it off because I have other things to do and, you know, anything like that. But anyway, let me catch up with the contents here. So, Taylor, Tim, and Dylan34, I am doing well. My morning is good. Well, I'm glad you managed to make it, Tim. Yeah, I have to figure out how to get the word out, because, I mean, it's good that you guys show up, but, you know, I'd kind of like it. I don't know, maybe it's just my ego, but I think I'd like to have, you know, a bigger crowd or something. But plus, I think maybe that the live stream could function as a way to grow the channel. Because that's actually a little bit of bad news. For a while, my channel was doing really well as far as growing and this and that, and looking like it could, in fact, actually become, you know, a reliable revenue stream of a sort. I mean, I know that YouTube is YouTube, you know, and it's finicky, and that's the thing. In the last, like, I guess, the last 3 videos I've put up have nosedived, you know what I mean, as far as viewers and watch time and all of that. And of course, YouTube is like, well, what are you doing different? And I'm like, I kind of do the same thing all the time. It's just me speaking softly about whatever, playing games or talking about whatever. But, you know, I kind of, You know, there's not a whole lot of variation. I haven't been doing any NNSBB things, or, you know, I try to stay away from controversial subjects really for the most part. Because I really want this to be about just relaxation, and I want to move politics and religion over my W.C. Postman channel, which I've kind of been lazy about. But anyway, so I got to get good about, I guess, self-promotion. I've just never been good at that kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, so it's another bit of skill set I have to figure out how that works and do that. Oh, that's cool, Tim. Yeah, see, you know, that's good. Thank you. I hope so, Neil. Thanks for the encouragement. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, right? You know what I mean? It's like, even if this doesn't make me any money, I will always figure out a way of, you know, setting aside time to do it, just because, you know, it's important to me. I like ASMR for my own consumption, and I kind of feel like, since I kind of have, you know, a knack in my soft voice and all that, I kind of feel like I'm obligated to give back. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things, if you have a gift, you should share it. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm not going to go anywhere. I mean, the only thing would be that, you know, my output might fluctuate up and down depending on, you know, my availability of time. Um, but I'm not going anywhere. I mean, unless YouTube kicks me off or something like that. But, you know, I doubt that's going to happen ever. I don't know, now that I've said that, they're going to come after me, right? You know, I think about it because early on in my YouTube career, I suppose, when I first started the channel, I kind of just started it with the idea that I would just kind of, I'll do a video now and again. And I kind of wish maybe I'd started more in earnest back then, because that was like, what, 12 years ago. Can you imagine what it might be if I took it seriously? You know, I don't know. Yes, Tim, that's exactly right. I'm absolutely trying to figure out a way of making this a source of income. Yeah, you know, the math videos do okay performance-wise, as far as, you know, the analytics, but the show and tells are really popular. My only problem with the show and tells is I'm actually trying to rid myself of a lot of material stuff. You know what I mean? So I've been thinking about, well, maybe doing that, like when I go through some stuff to, you know, I'm going to keep this, get rid of this, I might turn that into a show and tell. But so far, most of the boxes I've been going through are boxes of old papers and things that were like in boxes. I never even unpacked them when I lived in San Francisco. So I moved there, and I think, I don't know, 2008, 2009, something like that. So these things have been in boxes for, you know, 16 years or something. It's like, I don't need these papers anymore, you know what I mean? But I go through them just to be sure there's nothing of nostalgic value. But I'm not going to make a show and tell out of that, because it'd just be me, you know, oh, that's crap, shred it, that's crap, shred it. Oh, I think I might want that, you know, that kind of thing. But I do have boxes of material stuff I'm going to eventually get to. Anyway, I'm babbling. I just need to figure out stuff I can show and tell that I think I can speak to and talk about, and something that would be interesting for you guys, you know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, let me catch up on the comments here. Okay. Yeah, you know, in the ones that do really big numbers, or have done big numbers in the last, you know, just couple of months, is because the guy that does the pure ASMR, because I don't know if you guys have seen it, I know some of you have, on his channel, and on that channel he has, like, you know, 2 million and something views, which is, you know, it's proof of concept, right? Anyway, he's been trying to help me, you know, kind of play the YouTube analytics game better, and it was actually helping quite a bit. But I don't know what's happened. It's just, so I don't know if YouTube's altered the algorithm, or I don't know. I mean, YouTube says, you know, like I said before, it's like, what are you doing different? It's like, nothing. Anyway, mean, let's not be bitter about it. Let's see, where am I at? Right, yeah, I know what you mean, Dylan. Yeah, isn't it user 47, right? I love German Shepherds. And the Belgian Malinois, I guess, right? All right. The little German dog. Do I have on thoughts on meditation for being prepared to die or getting used to being dead or whatever you notice? Um, when I'm considering death, that's more of a contemplation than a meditation, which I guess is a form of meditation. There are times I'm absolutely calm about the idea of my dying. And then every once in a while, this kind of thing creeps in that's the dread of it. Um, but I have no idea what happens. And since I'm an atheist, I don't really have a belief in an afterlife per se, although I don't have a disbelief either. It's just like, I have no idea. Um, part of me goes, okay, it's just a material thing, and when you're dead, you're gone, right? But then another part of me goes, that there's just so many weird stories and stuff, and I don't know where they come from, and how is it just wishful thinking and people making too much out of strange kind of psychedelic experiences on the verge of death, or I don't really know how to interpret any of that. So I don't know. I've been thinking about maybe making more videos on my religious perspective and things like meditation and stuff like that. I'm hesitant to, because I don't want to put myself up as some kind of authority. It would just be on, this is my practice, and that's, I'll just have to figure out a way of making sure that I make that clear. Yeah, Neil, I do have a box of old CDs, and I think there's a few DVDs in there, which I'm not even sure what to do with, man, because I don't even have an optical player right now. It's like vinyl. I have some vinyl in a box somewhere too, but I don't have a turntable. I don't know how many of you remember Haley Rose, or was it Whispering Haley Rose or something like that? She and I kind of had a bit of an online friendship for a minute, and I sent her a box of old, they were kind of beat up, but she had a turntable and she was kind of getting excited about it, so I picked some of my old records, and I don't know, I just sent, about 4 or 5 of them or something like that. And she did an unboxing of it a long, long time ago, which was kind of a cool little video. Yeah, so, I think I should do that, the CDs thing. So that should probably come definitely sometime in the future. Yeah, he is, isn't he, Tim? A husky. Huskies are nice too. I like big dogs, like we're often called working dogs. My grandfather used to keep dogs, and like shepherds and big labs and that kind of thing. Silver Biller, have I seen Dido ASMR? No, I have not. I will check him out. I think somebody's recommended him before. I'll have to kind of make a note of that. Hang on, where's my little notepad? It has disappeared. Let me see if I can, is there a note here that I can add an addendum to? Yeah, this one here, this will work. There's a little bit of spot here. Dido ASMR. Sometimes I use the text editor for notes, but sometimes, because I just get so many of them, that it's easy for me to overlook them unless they're part of like a workflow or something like that. So Dido ASMR. Okay. Yeah, okay, so let's move on to the next puzzle, shall I? Oh, I haven't really been paying attention to how well my face has been outside of the puzzle. I hope I haven't obscured the puzzle at all. Yeah. Okay, I'm not at all quite certain what to do with this. It seems like I should go up and do this at the top first. This might be wrong, but it's what I'm going to do. Oh, no, I'm going to do this. This is clearly going to be a bad score, but that's all right. There we go, at least I found a solution. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Silver. God teeth. I am doing swell so far today. Let's see. We're up at 23. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick off the timer so I can make sure I don't overdo my back. So timer, come here, please. All right, there we go. So there's time remaining. And then there we go. Well, I'm glad you could make a live stream finally, God teeth. It's good to have you here. I want everybody to be here. Being the egotistical prick that I am. I want everybody to watch my videos. Um, oh, you know, I think I said in the last live stream that I was probably going to drop gameplays off a bit because they weren't doing so well performance-wise. But I've had another look at the analytics, and they haven't been doing well performance-wise in the immediacy of their release. However, there are a bunch of gameplays in my top 50, you know, for the lifetime of the channel. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to drop them out anywhere. What I'm doing is I'm making a list. Well, here, I might as well just tell you guys the list. I can... Okay, so there'll be story times and solitaire / backgammon, which I'll do with the actual physical cards and the backgammon set. Actually, I've got several backgammon sets there. Most of them are upstairs, though. And then, of course, the gameplays that you guys are used to. And then there's the geography thing that I've been doing, you know, like trying to learn the African capitals and that kind of thing, which I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do the whole freaking world. And then I'll move on and do other things. But alongside of those, I'm also going to start doing periodically Worldle. I don't know how many of you guys have ever played that. It's like world and then L-E at the end, so Worldle. So it's like Wordle, but Worldle. And what they do is they give you a silhouette of a country. And it's kind of deceptive because they don't give you any cues about the size. It's just the shape of it. And then from that shape, you're supposed to figure out what country it is, and they give you 6 guesses. And I've gotten really, really good at it. But I was thinking what I would do is, oh, and it's a daily puzzle, right? So you can't just do them over and over and over again. So you just do whatever the daily puzzle is. So I was thinking about doing that. And but use the puzzle, because it doesn't usually take me that long. But use the puzzle to like, oh, okay, that's today's country, and then I'll go find like some official websites for like tourism and, you know, whatever for the site or for the country, just to find out some you know, just some facts and information about the various countries, you know, so we could kind of just be sort of like, you know, let's learn about countries together kind of thing. And then I'm going to start doing more. People have been asking for like, you know, word list, babbly type stuff, you know, where I just kind of say nonsense and brush the mic and that kind of thing, right? So I'll probably start doing more of those. And also countdowns and those types of things, or alphabetical lists or something, you know what I mean? People seem to really like those too. And then, of course, I'm going to try to figure out how to do more show and tells. And the idea is I'll just cycle through those, like making one, you know, like put one out, like say I put one out on a Monday, then try to have one out by Friday, then try to have one out by, what would it be, Saturday, Sunday, like next Wednesday, right? So like about every 4 or 5 days, put out a video. And then, of course, keep doing the live streams. So my idea is to get, you know, like 8 or 9 videos out a month kind of thing. Somewhere in that neighborhood. See if I could manage that with both live streams too. That seems like that's a pretty good amount. I think I could manage that workflow wise and still have them be what I think of as being, you know, an okay video. But we'll see how that's my plan. Anyway, let me see if I can catch up with the comments here. If you have any poetry laying around, you know what, I might do that, because I used to be in like pop rock, you know, kind of alternative, whatever, new wave / punk / whatever. I mean, I started playing in bands back in 83, I think, 1983. And then I was pretty active in the San Diego music scene until I moved up here after my divorce in like 93, I think. I think that's right. So I have old lyrics and stuff like that. I might try and dig some of those up and just sort of recite them as nonsense. Yeah, that, you know, that could be a good idea too. Oh yeah, Tim, Queen of Serene was great. I like her one where she does the crystal healing. That's a really, really, really good one. If you guys haven't seen that, I absolutely recommend go to Queen of Serene, and it's I think it's chakra healing is what the title of it is, something like that. With SP, I'm not getting the reference. Who's SP? Oh, you mean Ephemeral Rift, right? Yeah, yeah, Paul, right? Yeah. You know, he and I kind of drifted apart, and it's really kind of my fault. I had some stuff going on in my world that was just difficult for me to deal with, and he and I were kind of interacting, and I kept kind of dropping the ball, and I think he just got tired of me being a flake, you know what I mean? So I don't think he has any animosity towards me. I think I just became too much of a flake. I mean, which I'll admit to, it was my fault. I kind of just became too much of a flake. But, oh, I missed Sunny Thief's thing. Yeah, you know, I would like to do more of like Story of a Train Ride. The problem is I'm not really an author, you know what I mean? I'm a musician sort, and I like doing weird arty, you know, like weird multimedia art stuff. Um, but that stuff's mostly going to end up on my music channel. Although, you know, when I can, I'll turn it into an NNSBB sort of ASMR thing if I can figure out a way of doing it. But unfortunately, most of my stuff along those lines just ends up being, doesn't go out into the world yet. Well, whatever. I have a hang up about whatever I do, I suppose. But it's the Story of a Train Ride thing. That kind of stuff just has to come to me out of the blue. You know what I mean? So when it does, I'll leverage it. But, you know, yeah. Oh, right. What was her name? I know who you mean about the space travel agency. You know what? Um, oh, where do yeah, I mean, give me a quick sec. Boink. I think, because now it's going to bug me if I don't go look up her name. And I think she's probably on my subscription list. Oh, that's not where I wanted to go, you idiot. Click on the wrong freaking link. And, I don't know, maybe will I even remember it? I think this is it. Yeah, I think it's ASMR requests. She's the one that does the travel show stuff. Right. Pop, 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 pop. Right, yeah, departure. Lena Grace, is that her actual name? Here, let me bring back the OES thing. There we go. Right, right, right. Yeah, it was very slick. I'm not 100% sure, Tim, but I think she had a friend, like maybe it was her boyfriend or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think she knew somebody that was like in like film production or TV production or something like that, or maybe they made documentaries. It just seemed to me that there was, that she had some kind of actual connection to, you know, so she could get help, advice, that kind of thing, so that kind of really help her hone her craft. And it was like absolutely pro. I mean, really, really, really good. Oops, I just kicked my desk. Hope that didn't make too much of a noise. Actually, you know, since we're just talking right now, let me switch to this thing here, and I'll go back to the gameplay when I actually start playing games. Although now that I've done that, you guys are going to slow down on the comments. Well, you know, while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and, because we're a bit into the stream now, so I'm going to do a little brushing of the mic, right? A little bit of brushing of the mic. This tends to be a pretty popular thing. This in the jar. More reading, please. Yeah, there's going to be more reading. Absolutely more reading. There's going to be a couple of different... oh, yeah, you know, the shirt thing, I had it in mind that because I have these 2 Aloha shirts. I was figuring I would just wear one of those on every live stream. But then for last Christmas, one of my nieces gave me this just because she thought, you know, I'm a trippy guy, so... you know, she thought it would be cool. So I thought, yeah, I'll throw this in the mix. So either one of my 2 Aloha shirts or this is kind of going to be my uniform for the live stream, you know. So, yeah. But anyway, back to the reading thing. Yeah, I guess, so the reading thing, I guess I should say, is going to be, there's 2 segments of that. I'm going to keep reading bits and pieces of Goethe's Faust, auf Deutsch, which I have no more comprehension because I haven't. I mean, I had a year in junior high, 3 years in high school, and 2 semesters in college of German, and I can barely remember a frickin' thing. You know, it's pretty, you know, pretty dismal, isn't it? You know, but anyway, so I'll be doing the Faust or some such thing like that. I think I'll try to pick up more public domain things in German that I could read. And then, of course, like the things I've been doing, like the Brothers Grimm, or I found another thing that I'm going to read, but it's all out of Project Gutenberg, which is a public domain repository of literature. If you guys haven't checked it out, go to Project Gutenberg. I think it's .org. No, I don't do e-cigs anymore. I just decided to quit nicotine. I didn't want to be addicted to nicotine anymore. So I do occasionally smoke cannabis or vape cannabis, but pretty rarely. But yeah. Otasi. Yeah, there you go. Guten Morgen. Although for you, Guten Abend, yeah? Do I enjoy the Halloween season? You know, not as much as I used to. I don't, for some reason, I just don't, it's not that I have anything against it. I just kind of, it's fun. I like watching it, but I don't really get involved. You know, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I will. And actually, I think part of it is my nieces and nephews are all adults now. My youngest nephew is already like 19 or 20 now. I think he's 19, going to turn 20 this year. I think his birthday's in July what? No, June. It's this month. It's later this month, the end of this month. I think he's going to turn 20. I have to double check that. I'm bad with ages. But yeah, you know, that would be a thing I should consider, trying to do a special story time for the Halloween season. I think I've been thinking about something to try to do for the Halloween season in particular, like trying to do a spooky ASMR somehow. I don't know exactly what that'll be just yet. But yeah, let me see. Felix, I think that you were. You know, I have listened to a few Ram Dass lectures. Yeah, he's okay. For whatever reason, he doesn't appeal to me as much as Alan Watts does. I mean, not that there's anything against him. It's just, I think it's just a matter of, some things land with you and some things don't. But yeah, I like that kind of thing, just to expose yourself to have different. See, here's the thing. The way I look at the stuff in just a general broad way is that religion, science, any of these things, what they are, they're humans trying to understand the universe and themselves existing in that universe, right? And if we think about the way our brains work, right, we have sensory input, and then our brain makes this sort of virtual world for us inside, right? And that's how we interact with the world, right? Our brain goes, and we have this, this visual experience that we have that's, happens somehow in our head, I guess. But that is the means by which we interact with the world, is making sense of the sensory input. So all of the input is a means by which we model the world, right? And so all of these things are just methods of humans trying to model the world. So I'm interested in kind of looking and exposing myself and being curious about the various ways that people model the world, and if it can offer me insight so that I can model my world better. So that's why I'm very curious about religions and things like that. I mean, I'm not interested in joining any of them. I just want to be exposed to the way these people see the universe and what their take is, and can it give me insight, not only for my own modeling of the world, but in truth, part of it is if I can understand part of their thing, I believe it can help me be able to relate to them and have some just a better relationship with people from different perspectives. Yeah, I've had a few different friends from different religious backgrounds, and yeah. Anyway, okay. It's 11:39 right now for me in California. Yeah, although I'm actually in a place called Castro Valley, which is across the bay from San Francisco, but I am kind of in between, a little south of Oakland, butted up against a place called San Leandro, and Hayward to the south, and then Dublin, Pleasanton to the east. And I haven't been outside today, but looking out my window, it looks like it's probably a really nice day. We've been having good weather here lately. So that's a good thing. I should be brushing on the mic here a little once in a while, shouldn't I? Let's get to this side. No, I've never been to Hawaii. I would love to go to Hawaii. as you might imagine, I have tons of friends that have been to Hawaii on vacation, and they come back with, wonderful tales of what a great time they had. And yeah, I'd love to get there. The only kind of tropically stuff I've visited was when I went on a couple of different cruises. I went on one that was out of Houston down to Cozumel by way of Veracruz, and that was really nice. I liked that. And then the second one I did was from San Francisco down the coast through the Panama Canal and then ending in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I spent an extra, I don't remember exactly how long it was. I think it was 10 days. I don't think it was 2 weeks. I think it was 10 days maybe, something like that. Maybe it was longer than that. I can't remember. But that was a really fun time. And we stopped at Aruba and I think one other island before we got to Puerto Rico. But that was back when I was still drinking, so as you might imagine, I was pretty baked the whole time. So Felix is from Montreal. Do I say that Quebecois? Is that how you would say that? I don't know much about French. Oh yeah, Mike. I have a great deal of respect for Thich Nhat Hanh. I was sad to hear about his passing. I've seen a bunch of his lectures here on YouTube. Also, a very dear friend of mine who's since passed away gave me a copy of Living Buddha, Living Christ, which is, I recommend that book highly. If anybody's curious about spiritual stuff and things, especially around compassion and love. Thich Nhat Hanh's Living Buddha, Living Christ. Go check it out. It's fantastic. Yeah, you might be right, Tim. I haven't looked into the traveling. Um, my appeal for going to Europe, though, is I know people there. You know what I mean? Um, Especially in the UK. And now I have a recent friend that actually I've met here online. We've never seen each other in person, but he lives in Ireland. I don't remember which city. I was just thinking, did I save the box? Because he sent me a bunch of Irish tea, which was really cool. So now I have two sources of good tea, one from Ireland and one from the UK. So, yeah. But yeah, so there's the appeal there. And yeah, it is my hope to start doing more travel. I think I know I've mentioned before on live streams in the past that I would like to do traveling that would be based around this channel. You know what I mean? Like, the Bill, the MaxVoxPax World Tour or something. You know what I mean? Oh man, to Ireland. I see. I've never been to Ireland. I'm a little jealous, Tim. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it would be fun to kind of figure out a way of, I don't know. I'd have to figure out where everybody was, in decent enough concentrations that I could, pick a couple of spots and, maybe find venues. I don't know how we would do it if I had to actually rent a venue, because then I'd probably have to charge ticket prices or something, which I don't know if I'm really, I don't know. Maybe that's something to do. Maybe it's not. This is all way in the future, right? It would have to be, because I'm not in any kind of financial position to do anything like that. So, whatever. I don't want to bore you guys with the woe of me. Yeah, the Plum Village stuff from France. That is really, really good. That's absolutely really good. I'd like to go see that place, frankly. Yeah, anyway, so back to some more brushing of the mics. And I'll probably do a little bit of bottle stuff too here today. Yeah, brushing the microphones. Yeah, this is kind of a weird thing, right? Well, there was a time that I just assumed I was the only ever the only person that had any, because there was no term ASMR, right? But I would get tingles and stuff, and my is it my earliest or one of my early memories of ASMR? I was in kindergarten, and it was during nap time, and but something went weird, and so the kindergarten I was in, there was a morning session and an afternoon session, right? You didn't really go for a full school day for some reason or whatever, and for some reason we had to combine the classrooms, and I don't remember why. It's such a vague memory. But anyway, so not all of us got to lay down on the mats. So some of us had to, just sit in a chair and put our heads down on the table kind of thing. And so I was one of those kids that got stuck with that. And anyway, the kid next to me started doing this stuff with his hand on my hand, kind of just kind of just weird things. And man, it was an ASMR explosion. And then the teacher caught him and said, "You don't do that, blah, 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 blah." And it's just like, oh man, please let him keep doing it. Yeah. But yeah. Felix has been doing Irish movies lately. You're a combo of John Butler and Thich Nhat Hanh. You see, here's the thing. I mean, that's very flattering. I appreciate that. I just don't think I'm anywhere near as calm as either of those guys. I mean, well, maybe it's because I kind of self-censor here. You know what I mean? I try to be, as calm and relaxing because this is ASMR. But that's part of the reason I want to stray away from doing too much political stuff or anything like that here, or any kind of societal news or any, current events type discussions here on this channel anymore, just because, not that I did a whole lot anyway, but because I can get way too worked up, you know what I mean, and way too angry, and because as you might imagine, I have pretty strong views, and they're very left-wing. I mean left-wing as in dismantle capitalism left-wing. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to go any more into it than that, but if you are curious about that stuff, go check out the W.C. Postman channel. And I need to get more active on that channel. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for both John Butler and, of course, Thich Nhat Hanh. Oh, hang on, you guys. I just got the notification from YouTube that for those of you who see ads, there will be ads showing up soon. So, yeah, there you go. But, yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, John Butler and Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for both those guys. I mean, they have their perspectives are interesting, insightful, valuable, and plus they're just really calm, compassionate, beautiful humans. We need more humans like that on the planet. The American accent is class? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that. Do you mean class as in it's, comparable to like a posh accent or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. I mean, I've done a little bit of traveling. Like I've been to, well, I guess I could just give you guys a rundown. Well, there's the ad. Ad is being inserted. So I haven't done barely any traveling here in the U.S. I've been over most of California, like from the central foothills down, so like a little ways north of Sacramento down to all the way into Mexico. Well, I guess there it is. I've been to Mexico a bunch of times, especially down in the Baja, because I used to live in San Diego, right? And when you're 18, you can go to Mexico and drink down there. So we used to do that a lot. Let's see, I guess in junior high, I went to Washington, D.C. on that field trip that a lot of schools do. Hey, over there, good to have you back. Anyway, then the next time I did any significant traveling was in 1985. I went to the UK for the first time with some friends, and we spent the summer there. We rented a house in a place called Hebden Bridge for a month. It's in West Yorkshire, so kind of Pennines country, right? And then we rented a house in East Sheen to the west of London, like kind of West End, just a little bit past outside of Hammersmith. We stayed there for a month, and then of course had to come back to the U.S., which was like, oh man. And then it was many years before I went anywhere except for Mexico. And then I went to the Netherlands. Well, I used to work for this artist as one of the many weird jobs I've had. He used to have a place down in Pacific Beach right next to La Jolla. Um, and he had a workshop that was on the premises he lived in, which was a really beautiful house with some amazing landscaping. It was, just crazy, beautiful, gorgeous place. It was like the kind of place you'd see in like Architectural Digest or something. I mean, it was really gorgeous. Anyway, but he had converted what should have been that garage for the house. That was a separate garage kind of up a hill, and there's this walkway that, was all landscaped that you had to go to. It's really pretty cool. Anyway, that was converted into a workshop, and he painted on wood panels, and we made the wood panels for him. Sometimes they were rectilinear, sometimes they were these just really weird shapes. So he would draw on door skin, and then we would turn that, using the door skin, into these big weird panels that had to be a little bit carved, a little bit cut. It was kind of a crazy thing. It was a really good job. Anyway, he up and moved shop to the Netherlands and took some of the guys that worked in the shop with him. I didn't get to go because I was married, and they weren't going to pay me enough to be able to bring my wife along. So I was like, yeah, crap. Anyway, but eventually, my wife and I separated, and Max, the guy, his name was Max Springer, he found out about it, and he said, hey, I am having some issues here. I need some more help. I understand that you're separated from your wife. What about coming over here for a couple of months? And I said, yeah. So I went to my wife and I said, yeah, we're really going to be separated. I mean, physically separated. I'm going to the Netherlands. So I did that for a couple of months. And then I did it again in 98. However, in 98, it was supposed to be a permanent thing, but our relationship soured and I left, and went and spent some time with my friend in the UK for not quite a month, but and then came back to the US after that. And then I went on the 2 cruises I mentioned earlier. And that's the extent of my international travel. It seems to me I'm missing something, but if it pops into my head, I'll mention it, but I don't think so. I think that's everything. Let's see, let me catch up with comments now. Oh, right, yeah, well, yeah, okay, it's the Scouse thing, right, just across the way from my friend, right. He was, I think I've mentioned this before, so you'll probably remember, but he grew up in a place called Burtonwood, which is, just up by there a little bit. I think it's a little bit north and inland, right? Okay, let's see. Have I ever tried playing with ChatGTP? I did go to ChatGTP once. Is it GP? Yeah, ChatGPT. My brain just did a weird. I think I was mixing up the letters. I don't remember what I did. I remember just being kind of nonplussed. I haven't been back in a while, so I don't know. Maybe it's improved. It was kind of early days. And I know those, what they call them, large language models, right? And, they're a dynamic thing, right? So I have some issues with AI and large language models, though, because of the way they gather data is that they will happily take and use copywritten material without actually clearing rights. And that really makes me angry. You can't be taking stuff from people, man. That's just ridiculous. What occupations have I had? Oh man, I don't know. Show it. Well, hang on. Let me look at the next comment real quick, and then I'll go through the list of employment. Hey Scott G. Well, it's you too. Okay, so jobs. I mean, I've had a lot of jobs, so this may not be a complete list, but I'll do the ones where there's highlights. Well, so when I was a kid, I used to do the basic, yard work and nonsense like that for people. So I don't know if that really counts. It was all kind of under the table sort of thing. But then the first job I had, it was, where I had to, pay taxes and that kind of thing. Hang on a sec, I need to get my key. I shouldn't have set it so far away. Was working at a place called Circle K. And Circle K is a convenience store that's in the Southwest. I don't know how far they've spread since then. I don't know. And back then they used to be basically Southern California and Arizona mostly. So this would have been I guess, 84. Um, and then I quit that job. Well, I might as well give you the basic reason. Okay, so I worked at a place that was down at if any of you know San Diego, it was in a place at the corner of Euclid and University, which is not a good neighborhood in San Diego. I don't know if it's, I don't know, it may be better now, but back then it was not a good neighborhood. There was, crimes, gangs, drugs, all kinds of nonsense. Um, and so, like, dig this, we did not have a locking door because it was a 24/7 place, right? So it never gets locked, right? It's like, it's always open, which is like, but sometimes stuff happens, man, especially at graveyard, right? Um, so like if I was in the back or in the cooler stocking stuff or whatever, I had to keep my eye out or my ear out for the bell. Because if I missed the bell, people could just be coming in taking stuff and I wouldn't know. Um, oh, hey, Kat. Catherine Simmons, that's my sister. Everybody can call her Kat if you want. Um, and where was, okay, so Circle K. Anyway, it came down from the district manager that somebody was stealing from the store. And so they were like trying to figure out who it was. And I don't even remember what the deal was about, the nature of the stealing. And so they just kept firing people. But the deal is that they were firing them faster than they could rehire them. And at one point I went into work and was doing my shift. And then and I had days off coming, right? So I was like, the manager was the guy that was relieving me because I did graveyard. And so on Monday mornings, I guess, that's the day he relieved me. Anyway, he's like saying, okay, you have to come in at 6 tonight because I need you to work 6 to 6. And I go, I'm not working a 12-hour shift. And he's like, well, you have to. And I go, no, you can't demand me to work overtime, man. That's illegal. You can't make me work overtime. And he's like, well, yeah, but because there's nobody else, they let everybody else go. So it's just me and you. And I said, screw you. I quit. And I handed him my shirt, Circle K shirt, my name badge. I said, I'm not coming back. Screw you. He goes, well, you're leaving me in the lurch, man. I go, dude, because here's the thing. If they'd fired everybody and there's still thievery going on in the store, it was him. You know what I mean? And then I started looking back on it, and he drove a very expensive car for a guy that was managing a Circle K. You know what I mean? And so I was like, yeah, I don't give a screw, whatever. So there was that job. After that, because then got into 85, or just before then, I guess it was the end of 84, because I needed to get another job pretty quick because, I was staying with my grandmother at that point, and she was cool, about me being jobless for a minute. But I wanted to go on that trip to the UK in 85, and I needed money for that, right? So I worked labor and construction. I humped wood for people, all the carpenters and stuff, like who's going to bring them their studs and stuff like that, and the stringers and the studs and all that. So that's what I did until they kind of moved me up, and I worked for these guys that did plumb and line, which is what keeps everything square, right? So everything's vertical and it's following the lines that are snapped out from the plan. Everything was on, all of the jobs I worked on were on slab floors or slab, bottom, bases or whatever. So there's no basement or underground or anything like that. It was all on slabs. And they snapped it out on chalk lines, right? So we kept everything within the lines and being vertical. And then when there was multiple stories, you climb up on the frames, and then you have to keep everything vertical, and square and all that. So all the right angles are right angles and all that. And yeah, then I ended up not doing that anymore. What did I do after that? I don't know. I've had a couple of weird jobs after. Then wait, hang on. Let me catch up with the comments here. I'm glad you could make it to Israel. Jamario 10, right? Yeah, 12-hour shifts just suck. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear about that, user 47. 12-hour shifts just suck. Although, well, I'll get to that later. So let's see, the next thing that's worth mentioning, I guess, is, I'll just skip a few because some of them are just tedious nonsense and whatever. I did work for an electronics place for a while. We made circuit boards for Mattel that went into this toy that was it was tape based, and it was for kids to it was like an educational toy, and you put a tape in it, and then they had books, and you would play the tapes, and there were buttons on it. So it was like, a cassette tape has 4 tracks, right? Left, right on one side and left, right on the other side, right? But these tapes only went one way. And what it was is the kids would push different colored buttons, and they were the play buttons, and it would play different tracks that were appropriate to, what they were doing with the story as they read it. So it was like you had 4 different, well, actually more than 4 different, because there was different places you could push different colors. So you could get lots of variations on the story and how that went. Anyway, I worked there for a bit, and then they went out of business, but they did it in a really shady way. They told us all we were moving to a new location, and I was the guy that did QC at the end of the line, or one of the guys. There was 2 of us. And so the lady that was the line boss said, hey, I need you to be part of the moving crew because you understand all the equipment and everything. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then so I showed up on the appointed day for, when we were supposed to be installing all the new stuff for the new line. And there was nobody there, and there was nobody there. And I'm like, what the hell? And it turned out they just went under. And rather than tell us all and give us pink slips and all that stuff, they just went under and disappeared. They gave us a phony address that we were moving. It was just really weird and very shady. After that, I worked for a place called Quidel, where I started off on a cutting machine and then eventually became the dry room supervisor. What we did there is we made diagnostic test strips. So these little plastic strips that had little, like this kind of fuzzy, papery material at the end of it that you dipped into a test tube and it reacted to, whatever it was testing. These weren't like things like we did pregnancy, ovulation, and strep throat. And then we were just introducing allergy when I was working there. But these were for doctors' offices. They weren't, over-the-counter stuff. And it was actually kind of an interesting job, but my immediate boss was a prick, so I ended up quitting that job. But it was really interesting. Everything was, and I eventually became shift lead and ran the 2 dry rooms. Oh, because there's the thing, we worked in a dry room. It's not like a clean room, so we don't really worry about dust and particles so much, but all of the materials that went into the test strips were humidity sensitive. So they had to be kept in these tubes with desiccants. And when we packaged the tubes, actually I didn't really do the packaging. I kind of oversaw the packaging and the cutting and the assembling. But so we had these 2 big rooms that had to be maintained below 20 degrees Celsius. That if it got to 20 degrees Celsius, an alarm went off. We had to put everything into these big desiccant, or desiccators is what we call them, these big plastic boxes that were under vacuum, and then evacuate the room until they could get and that happened a few times while I worked there. It's just a weird thing, but there's a pretty weird, there's a lot to that job. Maybe someday I'll make a whole video about talking about that job. But anyway, let me check on some more comments here. Yeah, they did. We had certain, although the arcade machines we had weren't ours. They weren't owned by the store. They were owned by a guy who had a contract with the store. So he would come in every once in a while and pull out all the quarters. I remember that, man. Teddy Ruxpin? Where is that name from? That seems familiar. I can't place it. I remember working for a hardware store, $5.75 an hour. Yikes. Yeah, But yeah, where was I at? I left off at Quidel. And then after Quidel, because I was married at that point, for a while I was trying because I was really, really into air-cooled Volkswagens. My wife used to drive a 71 Squareback, and I used to drive a 71 bus. And I did all the work on them. It started with me just kind of being curious. Actually, we bought one, and then I got a hold of the Idiot's Guide. And after that, I kind of just became an air-cooled devotee. And so I was trying my hand at being sort of a backyard mechanic kind of thing, where I would just do basic, simple things for people. Like I wouldn't do rebuilding a motor or anything. Well, actually, that's not true. I did rebuild a couple of motors. Anyway, but the thing is I'm not really a very good businessman, and I had a lot of people that were like references from friends, and my friends would say, hey, I told them you'd give them a deal, and it's like all this kind of thing. And it was just like, man, I just wasn't making enough money. Then I went back to school, and I was going to a community college, and I worked on campus at the tutoring center. because I had taken a symbolic logic class and I killed it, and they needed a logic tutor really badly. And I was good at math too, so I was the only logic tutor for the school, and I also tutored math. Yeah, I mean everything. I tutored all the way through the calculus sequence. I did that for a long time. I worked for a high school district in the capacity of an instructional aide. I worked for was it SLEAG? Or no, SLEAG was the funding. What was the name of the organization? I can't remember the name of the organization, but it was like an advisory sort of organization that did things and then they submitted it to the government kind of thing. And they were funded, I think SLEAG was, I don't remember what it stood for, but it was a funding thing. So it was, funded by grants and whatnot. Anyway, what my job is I worked at I did it at a juvenile hall, right? Where they put it's basically kids jail, right? And my job was when the kids came in on intake, I gave them an interview, asking them questions about their drug usage and sexual behavior and all of that kind of thing. And I had them give urine samples. If it was a male kid, I had to go into the room with them and actually watch them pee into the cup. It's just a horrible job. And if it was a female student, there was one of the female officers that would do that task for me. And then I had to collect all the urine samples, and it was a horrible thing. I ended up giving that job up because it was just, as you can imagine, it's just not a fun job because you're dealing with kids that are juvenile delinquents. And here's the thing, I mean, pain begets pain, you know what I mean? These kids, it's not like they're evil, it's like they all came from bad environments, you know what I mean? That was kind of what was going on. And the beginning of the end for me was one woman came in and she had she was dragging a toddler and she had a baby on her arms and she had a kid that was like junior high age, and she was like kind of being a real bitch to him and just like, yeah, get in there, blah, blah, blah. And he was like just fighting back, bawling. I mean, you could see the tears coming down his cheek, but he didn't want to cry in front of people kind of thing. And she goes, you sit over there. And then she went up to the front desk thing and said, you guys take him. I don't want him anymore. And then walked out. She just took her son to juvenile hall and left him there. And it was like, what the hell, man? And I didn't interview him because they took him to a different section because clearly he needed attention. And when that kind of thing happens, the kids go into kind of a special ward sort of thing because they're fearful of self-harm and that kind of thing. But that was the beginning of the end for me at that job. It just was emotionally damaging. You know what I mean? It was just a horrible job. And it's like, if it was that horrible for me, imagine what it was like for those kids. It's just heartbreaking. I worked at a pinery. It was this place that grew Christmas trees. Well, actually, they did a whole lot of stuff, but where they made most of their money was in the Christmas season. They grew a bunch of, these quick-growing pines. I think they were, what were they? They weren't Monterey pines, because Monterey pines don't do well in San Diego. I don't remember what they were, but they were a fast-growing pine tree. And it was one of those places where you could go cut down your own tree. So we also did trees that we sold to other places. But the big thing was, you could go, either cut it down or pick it, and we'd cut it for you kind of thing. And then we also sold trees that came in from other locations. We did a lot of business in some spruce trees, like blue spruce and stuff like that, that came in from a place up in Colorado. Those were gorgeous trees. But and we had some stone pines too, which were local to San Diego. We did that. I don't remember. I've had lots of jobs. All right, anyway, let me try to catch up with the comments. What would I, well, see, here's the thing. Can I talk to my, as me talking to my 20-year-old self? I would say go get diagnosed, because I have a mood disorder that didn't get diagnosed until just recently. And now that I'm on meds for it, I can look back on my life and go, man, there's a lot of things that I did that I shouldn't have been doing. And part of it was because I wasn't in a good mental place, you know what I mean? And I basically overdid the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing for a while, mostly with the drugs. I well, so with drugs, mostly with booze. I just drank like a crazy screwball. So I'd say, dude, don't do that. Um, um, okay, so if you're a cis man like me who's heterosexual, my advice is don't let your sex drive rule your life. You know, um, yeah, that would be the number one thing. Um, and don't let people lure you into jobs and situations like that you kind of don't really feel like doing, but you do because they go, come on, dude, you should, kind of thing. Because I did that a couple of times, and it was just bad choices, and I ended up choosing one thing over another thing, and it was clear that the other one would have been better, but I don't know, I just made bad choices. So I don't know how to try to figure out a way of getting some distance when you're in situations where it's a critical decision, and make sure that you're really being calm about it and not making decisions based on stupid stuff, you know? And you're going to figure out what stupid stuff is for yourself. Everybody's context is different. But I mean, I guess that would be the main thing. I don't know if that helps anybody or not, but okay, so Teddy Ruxpin was a step doll. Oh, interesting. I don't know if Teddy Ruxpin was it or not, because I never actually saw the content, Scott. I just saw the circuit boards, you know what I mean, and the tape player, because we hooked up the circuit board to these tape players to make sure that everything went through properly, that all the circuits were functioning properly. So it was like this, it was a tape machine with the buttons, and there was a way that we could like put the circuit board down on it, and that was part of my job, was to do that, and then figure out, was it cool? If it was cool, I'd pass it, right? And if it wasn't, if I could do a quick fix on it, I would just do that. And if I couldn't, I'd hand it to another person that would take it back to a station that would actually do it and then bring it back to me, kind of thing. It was kind of a weird way of doing things, but yeah, so I don't know whether that was part of it or not, to be honest. But it would probably be that kind of thing. That would have been precisely the kind of thing. Yeah, we do enjoy Christmas. As a matter of fact, we still have the Christmas decorations up upstairs. I mean, I don't really decorate. I mean, I don't have anything to do with that really so much. That's my sister and her kids. Oh no, an ad just got inserted, and I didn't catch it in time to warn you guys. Yikes! Um, but yeah, we like Christmas. Um, I don't know what everybody's personal take is on it comes to the God religion thing, because I just don't ask people those questions, frankly. You know what I mean? I just kind of assume everybody's either agnostic or atheist, because nobody really talks about it. Nobody goes to church, so I'm assuming that that's their perspective. But um, it just never really comes up in family conversation. Really, it's kind of odd. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, there's decorations. Government agent MaxVoxPax. Yeah. Thanks, Brady. Yeah, yeah. My family's a pretty close family, which is good for me, because there's times my life has been kind of crappy, and I've had to, come back home to, readjust and, not die. Actually, I shouldn't say it like that. That's melodramatic. I wasn't, anywhere near death, but I've spent a fair part of my life like couch surfing and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe Tim, that's not a bad idea. That might be another thing I put onto the list. Actually, I'm going to put that on the list. Give me a quick sec. Let me get out the text editor, and I'll. Nostalgia and memories. There we go. And let me save that. Okay. Let me minimize that. Okay, there we go. All right, let me get back here. Well, here's the thing. You should celebrate or not celebrate as you see fit, frankly. We celebrate it not as a religious holiday, really, in the family. Like I said, we don't really talk about that. For us, it's mostly it's about family and giving gifts to each other. I mean, part of it gets a little materialistic, but I try to, let's keep that in check. That it's really about, trying to be kind to each other. And like if you give somebody a thing, it should be you know, a meaningful thing and not just some crap, you know what I mean? Um, so, you know, I don't know how that, you know, whatever, but you're right. There's a decidedly materialistic thing that has happened to Christmas, and it's observably worse over my lifetime. Like it used to be that nobody really did Christmas decorations or shopping or anything until after Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? And it's like now it's earlier and earlier and earlier. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, it's just crazy, and it's all. And there's like a lot of companies that they push because it's just about the money, man, and that just really depresses me. I mean, I'm not a Christian; I'm an atheist, but it's like, you know, it's like even though I'm an atheist, there's value in having a celebration that's about sharing the idea of, you know, love and compassion, you know what I mean? And that the gift giving should be something that reflects those ideas, you know? And then, of course, getting together and having a feast with your family and all that kind of thing is very beautiful. And it bums me out that that's kind of been gone by the wayside a little bit. And, you know, and in place of it is, you know, I don't know, materialism, consumer capitalism, right? Yikes. Anyway, so let me move on with the comments here. Okay, personal question. Wait, hang on. Okay, did I quit alcohol and drugs in full, or okay, well here, yeah, I'll talk about that, user 47. So, the impetus for my quitting, I was at the time I was a blackout drunk, and this was I started my channel the year the year I quit booze. So it was months before I started the channel is when I quit. So that tells you how long into my life I was, you know, and I was a blackout drunk. Um, okay, so I went into urgent care one day on a Monday morning. Um, I was at work and I just had a really, really bad headache, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. I was like, man, this is horrible. And so I had somebody take me to urgent care, and it was just like I was on the verge of tears. You know what I mean? It was just horrible how painful it was. Anyway, so I went into the urgent care Kaiser because that was our insurance was Kaiser. And the intake lady, I don't know what I said, but whatever I said was the right sort of words that describe a particular symptom. And they assumed, or they didn't assume, but there was a chance that I was actually having a stroke in the moment. So they brought me in and like they did all this stuff, and it was like, oh, but it was like all of a sudden I was like, wow, what's going on? Next thing I know, I'm on a gurney and being moved into places, and they inject my system with that contrast dye that feels like it's ants crawling around inside of your bloodstream. It's just horrible sensation. I guess not everybody has the same reaction to it, but it's like, don't worry, it'll subside, and it did. But man, for a few minutes, it was just miserable. And that didn't give them enough, so they put me in an MRI and blah, blah, blah. Turns out, at the end of all that nonsense, there was no lesions or anything like that. There was a tremendous amount of inflammation on several of my bodily systems. Anyway, I was basically ganged up on by 3 different doctors, one of whom was a neurologist, and they said, dude, you have to stop drinking. You were lucky today. Next time you're probably dead. And I went, oh, okay, I'll quit drinking. So I quit drinking. All of my other drug use, with the exception of cannabis, stemmed from my drinking. You know, people go, hey, dude, do you want to do a line? Yeah, sure, man. Hey, dude, do you want to eat these pills? Yeah, sure, man. You know what I mean? And since I, you know, gave up the booze, all that stuff stopped. But I still use cannabis. But here's the thing: cannabis. If I smoke more than I probably should, I just get stoned and go to sleep. You know what I mean? It doesn't, and it's easy for me to go, oh, I should probably just not have any cannabis. And I'm not going to go to the store. I'm not going to buy any cannabis. It's easy for me, so I don't really feel like I've got an issue with cannabis. Yeah, so there's the thing. Advice, if you have a problem, some people can do okay with harm reduction, which is the theory that you just try to get your drinking down to something that's less damaging. That wouldn't have worked for me. I needed to just quit. I think most people probably should quit. And the truth is, alcohol's a poison, and it's actually pretty dangerous because it can get through the blood-brain barrier, and that's part of the danger of it, right? So it's like it can get into parts of your cell. It can get into the mitochondrial stuff. I mean, it can get through almost all the membranes, and it will screw you up everywhere it goes. So yeah, you should be very careful with alcohol. It's a pretty dangerous thing, really. Anyway, Let's see, which US cities were great to you and which ones were garbage. I haven't really been to all that many places in the US, really, mostly just California. Um, so I guess the major ones would be, well, San Diego, because I was born down in that area. LA, just going up north, because LA is near San Diego. Um, I guess Sacramento, San Francisco, Oakland, all those places. Here's the thing. They're all gorgeous and they're all garbage. You know what I mean? Because they all have parts of them that are absolutely fantastic. And they all have parts of them that are just, I mean, like Hunters Point in San Francisco is just, it's shameful. We shouldn't have parts of our society that are like that, where people have so poor economic opportunities and things that ends up being, because it's straight up just crappy slum. You know what I mean? And then you go, San Francisco's only 49 square miles, so you don't have to go all that far, and you get into the hills that are closer to the bridge, and you have these millions and millions and millions of dollars of mansions. Like billionaires live in these things, man. And it's just like, that stuff bothers me. But I bring that up just to point out that every place has garbage and every place has beauty. At least, it's been my experience of the cities in San Francisco, or excuse me, the cities in California. Um, da, 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 da. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Over there, one thing I used to do for a while, because at the time I was actually making quite a bit of money, and I used to do, I'm not going to do giving people gifts anymore. What I would do is I would do things with them, right? So they could, come up to me and say, hey, what do you want to do? And it could be like a trip to someplace. It could be, just spending the day with me and we go play miniature golf or, whatever. I would take them someplace and we would have an experience together. I used to do that kind of thing for a while. But then it got to the place that nobody was taking me up on it, you know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just, go back to gift giving. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. I mean, if you can get off the gift giving, it's just such a seductive thing. You know what I mean? It's hard to not get caught up into the whole, you know. Yeah. Well, they do their job to sell it to you, don't they? And it's easy to get caught up into. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. It's a good little sequence. But here's the thing: when I was a kid, it was a clear sequence. There was Halloween, and then all the decorations came down for Halloween, and then in school you start talking about fall more often, and then bingo, it's Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving comes down, and then you start Christmas, and then Christmas hangs over into New Year, and then you start taking all that stuff down, right? You know what I mean? I liked the fact that it was a sequence, and each one had its own space, rather than bleeding into each other and it being about commercialism. Anyway, aloha, Sean. Well, over there, if it's like that, then I would just say don't do weed. You know, I don't know. That would be my advice. Well, dude, you need to be careful if you're, Tim. I mean, look, if you can keep it under control for yourself, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. I would just advise everybody to be, if you're going to be drinking booze, just, be aware of what you're doing. Oh yeah, you're right, Kat. Yeah, some of those people, the decorations they get into on those really super expensive houses are crazy. Oh yeah, that was also your birthday present. My sister just said, yeah, George Clinton concert. Um, when I was living in San Francisco, the Yoshi's that was down on Fillmore, George Clinton played there, and so I got us tickets. It's a very small venue, you know what I mean. So there was no bad place to be, but we were like right in the front of it, man. And they yeah, it was a crazy, crazy, crazy. And Kat, what was it that there was some things flashing light thing that they tossed out and you caught one? I don't. Was it sunglasses or something, or what was it? The flashy thing? Because we were right down there in the middle of it, just dancing with everybody. It was a fantastic show. Oh, and the other thing about Yoshi's, it has a really nice restaurant too. So we went there to have food first and had some Kobe beef. I think, didn't you have Kobe hamburger, Cat? But yeah, that was a really good night. That was a really, really fun night. Yeah, materialism greater than materialistic BS. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, let's get back to some, I guess, some brushing. And maybe I'll go back to playing some Sokoban too later. I might not. Oh, you know what I'll do instead of the brushing for a minute? Let me do the jar. Okay, here we go. I'll have to open it up here in the middle because it sometimes pops pretty loud. Here we go. So here we go. That's right. That's right. They had like little flashy LEDs or something in them, didn't they? It was fucking crazy. So how is the jar going over today? I wonder if sometimes it's a hit and miss, but it seems to be okay most times. See, there you go, Tim. That's, you know, it's like our house is just so chaotic, though. I mean, I don't think it was like a thing that we purposely said, oh, let's keep the Christmas decorations up. It's just a bunch of them just got left up because everybody's so busy doing stuff and whatever that they just never got taken down. And our tree is a really small tree that's on a table that's kind of off to the side, right? So it's not like it's a big giant tree in the, you know, and it's a phony one. You know what I mean? It's not a real tree. And the rest of it's just sort of like lights and stuff around, you know. And so, yeah, whatever. I mean, colored lights are fun, right? Yeah. Hunter's Point is, well, whatever. Yeah, it's a scary place. I mean, you know, you all have an idea what I mean. It's just think about the place where it's, you know, poverty and crime, you know. I used to also live in West Oakland for a while, out just off Magnolia on, or I guess it was on Magnolia off of Adeline. Is that right? I think that's what it was. I think it was Magnolia. It was out near West Oakland BART, if that gives anybody an idea. And it was in a warehouse with you know, a bunch of artists and musicians and that kind of thing. And actually there was a recording studio in there. That's another job I had. I built their patch bay, and then I was kind of a studio intern for a while. And although I didn't get paid for being in the studio, like being in the room, but what I did is I did like janitorial stuff and, you know, all that kind of thing. So I got paid for all that kind of nonsense. Oh yeah, that's right, Kat. Yeah, my dad just had his 77th birthday the other day. So we had a big feast with, you know, chicken and stuffing and potatoes. That's what he wanted, so that's what we did. Okay, I'm going to go back to the brush now. I know what you mean, Brady. Right. Oh, right. I forgot about the pumpkin pie, sis, right? No birthday cake, pumpkin pie instead. Although Tommy, my nephew, made some lemon bars too. So lemon bars and pumpkin pie for dessert. Right. Well, you know, here's the thing. I advocate for humans helping humans. You know what I mean? And we can just start small, right? You just start small. Humans helping humans, And, you know, I know it's a silly thing, but, you know, like the Beatles sing, all you need is love, right? You know, that's the, you know, on my other channel, I have this little slogan for myself, which is the atheist anarchist the atheist anarchist advocating agape, right? But there's the thing, right? We should, you know, we just strive for compassion, bringing compassion into our own lives, for compassion for others, I mean, right? And just, you know, just being aware of it and trying to bring it into your life. And if more and more people did that, it would get better, man. It would get better. And it can be simple, too, like the guy that cuts you off on the highway. Don't fall into road rage, man. Just, you know, take a breath, let it go. You don't know what their world's like. You don't know what happened, right? And if you keep going and you become angry, then you're the guy that sends somebody else into anger, right? You know what I mean? And then it just snowballs and it goes forward, right? But if you can stop the anger spreading anger, right? And pain begets pain. That's another thing to remember. Every time somebody's doing something that's crappy, right? I mean, there are some people who are just inherently, they don't mix well with the rest of us, you know, whether it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like psychotic or sociopath or, you know, those types of words, right? But they're a tiny percentage of the population, right? Most people, when they're doing things, whether it's crime or abuse or, you know, even substance abuse, I mean, any of these things, almost always it's coming from a place of pain, right? That's one thing I learned when I went through the recovery program I did. It's a CDRP, was a chemical dependency recovery program at Kaiser. And the thing is just, it's an observable thing that pain begets pain, you know? And so that's the thing I try to remind myself. It's like I get angry, you know, somebody pisses me off on the TV because they're doing some just really horrible thing that, you know, to me seems like absolute cruelty as opposed to having compassion for another human. And I try to remind myself, yes, they should be more compassionate, but I need to try to be compassionate for their lack of compassion. Like humans need to help humans, even if we're screwing up. The best thing is to try to find a way of helping them not be cruel. I mean, I know that's a big ask, but that's what we need to be working on, right? Humans should be helping humans, right? I mean, there's a video on my other channel where I talk about this, that as a survival strategy, you know, we're a social species, man, right? We're a collaborative species. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, you know, kumbaya, hey everybody, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't make my clothes, I didn't grow my food, I didn't build this building, you know. So whether we like it or not, we actually do help each other. But it's just, I think it would be better if we were more mindful of it so it could be in the moment and we could reduce cruelty, right? Anyway, there's my advice for today. There's Bill's Sunday sermon, right? You know, I've thought about doing that, like instead of like doing the roll the dice or whatever with the random thing, I thought about maybe jokingly do, you know, Bill MaxVoxPax's Sunday sermon or something like that. But then I decided to give it up because I don't want to get myself into the, I don't want it turning into a thing where I get held up, you know, higher than I should be. I'm just some guy, you know what I mean? I don't want people thinking, you know, that I'm, you know, actually some sort of pastor or a reverend or, you know, guru or whatever, you know. I'm happy to share my insight and if people can gain something from it, that's cool. But I don't want to be saddled with some kind of sense of authority. And I don't want, because, man, I am super fallible, man. I look back on my life and there's like tons of things I've done that are absolutely just screwy. You know, and a lot of it is down to mental health, right? You know what I mean? Which I feel like I'm in a much, much better place than I've ever been now that I'm on meds. But anyway, humans should help humans, right? You know, a thing just popped into my head because the YouTube thing has been running ads. So how many of you actually see ads? And if you see ads, what type of ad is it, if you don't mind my asking? I'm just curious as to who's buying time on my channel. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll happily take, you know, put the ads on my channel. I'm fine with it. Um, and I don't even know that I mind. I don't really care. If you're paying for the ad, you're paying for the ad. I mean, unless you're, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're, I don't know. I'm not sure where I would draw a line, but um, anyway, let's see what we're going here with Canada. Yeah, I know what you mean, Tim. There's the thing. Well, I'm a left-wing guy, so I do not get along or agree with MAGA at all. Um, and there are times I get so angry, and it exhausts my compassion, that's my problem. You know what I mean? Um, but I'm always trying to find a way. How can I get past that? You know what I mean? Because getting mad and throwing hate back at somebody else is not going to fix anything. Yeah, I kind of understand what you mean, Brady, but I don't think I'm in a good enough space right now where I would feel comfortable with that sort of responsibility. Because it is a responsibility. The minute you start kind of telling people things like that you're going to be affecting their life, which means you're kind of part of it in that moment. And you know what I mean? And that moment can spread into the future of their life. And I don't mind interacting with people and like offering them things. Um, it's just, I just feel like I need to be careful about that kind of thing. That's all. All right, well, that's okay. Whoops, hang on. The thing just bumped again, and I have to. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, thank you, Captain Crispy. I appreciate that. That's nice. Thanks. Okay. Compassionate the art. Yeah, but see, here's the thing: the people that have the frontal lobe of a goldfish, they still need compassion, maybe even more. I mean, I realize it's difficult, but you know, you can't just toss people aside, right? Even if what they're doing you think is really horrible. It's like, what comes to my mind, and maybe I'm getting a little preachy here. Excuse me. But I've seen a few things and looked into a little bit into the correctional system that they are beginning to develop, and I guess it's actually gotten pretty mature now in Norway, where it's absolutely about trying to deal with the person in a positive manner, right? Like they don't have a prison sentence of any kind that's longer than 20 years, regardless of how heinous the crime is. And their perspective is that all humans are redeemable, or at least, you should look at it that way. And they're really into like, can we get it? Why are they doing crime? Is it an economic issue? Then we have to get them job training and get them placed into a thing. Is it a psychological thing? Do they need counseling? You see what I mean? I'm very into that whole thing. It's like, I know people can be challenging, but I would much rather see us trying to be proactive and, again, humans helping humans. Okay, Tim says he can't stand Maggie either. But yeah, I mean, as long as your outward behavior is reasonably good, I'm not really going to ask you questions and whatnot. I've just run into people who volunteer their perspective towards me. And believe it or not, I've been called sheeple by people. It's like, are you kidding me? Me, I'm sheeple. Yeah, right. Yikes. Um, wow, 3 times in 20 minutes. Interesting. That seems awfully fast because it's only shown me, well, maybe it's happening more and I just don't realize it because it usually gives me a little thing. There's an ad coming up, inserting of ads. GoDaddy, huh? All right. Oh, yeah, those business things they're annoying. Yeah, there are idiots here on the left. My biggest problem well, not my biggest problem, but one of my big problems with some people on the left is those people who get into purity tests. Oh, you're not left enough. It's like, what are you talking about? You know? What are we trying to work towards? I mean, the immediate, like, dismantling capitalism is not going to happen in my lifetime. But you can work towards setting the foundation so that it can happen, which means, expose people to the idea that you can think collaboratively, you can think cooperatively, and start doing things like making sure. Here's the thing. I believe all humans deserve housing, access to healthy food, medical care, and education. You know what I mean? I think those things, to me, those things are human rights. And it behooves us to offer it to each other. I believe that when you invest in your own society in that regard, you'll have a better society. That is my perspective. But we need to move in that direction. But you're right, there are people on the left who just get to be very screwy. And there's some people who are like some accelerationists that are very into violence and this and that. I don't prescribe any of it. I don't abide that stuff. It's just not for me. But oh my goodness, discover your sexual happiness. Well, right on, cool. PNC Bank, all right. Anatoly, I'm not going to say this right, Rizikov, is that even close? Hello from California to you in Russia. I haven't had an ad since the early part of the stream. All right. I don't know how they figure out who gets ads when. I just don't know. What does what even mean, sis? Oh, hang on. Where'd I go? Pop. Okay. There you go, over there, right. That's frustrating. Anyway, so, how about back to brushing and being peaceful? Oh, okay, we're getting down to, here, I'm going to stop the brushing because we're getting down to the last just under 13 minutes now. So I guess if there's any last minute questions, I'm also going to get out I'm going to go ahead and do now. We'll do for next stream. So it's going to be which weekend? It's going to be the weekend of, so this is the weekend of the 8th and the 9th, so we'll skip the 15th, 16th, so it'll be the 22nd or the 23rd, right? Hang on. So just to go over the rules again. Oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, right. Okay, I see what you mean, sis. Heads at Saturday, tails at Sunday, right? That's what the coin is for. And then the dice are for between 2 and 12. So 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. will never show up. But it's between noon Saturday to noon Sunday, if that makes sense. So anyway, so let's see what we're going to have here. If I can do this without being an idiot. So I don't know if you guys can see that or not. There we go. No, it was heads. I need to figure out a better way of doing that. Maybe I should get a mirror and kind of do it that way sometime. All right, so it's Saturday, right? At 3, so it'll be 3 in the afternoon next Saturday. Let me put that down. Okay, so what was that date again? Saturday the 22nd at 3 p.m. So there you go. That will be the next live stream. Oops, hang on. Be careful what you're clicking on, Bill. Okay, let's see if I can catch up with... I'm not sure I follow what you mean, Anatoly. Okay, here we go. Is Pop OS to the... Yeah, I'm using Pop OS. Okay, maybe I'll do another one of those sometime. Maybe I'll do that as kind of part of the show and tell. Yeah, I quite like Pop OS. I'm much happier now that I'm in Linux again. I mean, I used to use Linux as my home operating system for a long time, although I professionally had both Windows, regular Windows, and an NT box. Well, because I needed it professionally, because a lot of the stuff I did, people wanted it in Windows, not whatever. And when I worked for Docent, which is a company my dad worked for, that's how I ended up getting the job, working in the professional services, which is where we customized their software. And they would run on either Unix or Windows or what else, I don't remember. But I just ran my version to have a sandbox and a development machine at home on NT. But that was I started working there shortly after I got back from the Netherlands in '98, and then I did that until, when's the last time I did any real programming? Oh, not much after 2005. Oops. Yeah, I'll pick that up later. Yikes. Watch what you're doing, Bill. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I'm glad you could stop by at least, Lewis. It was good to have you here among us. My birthday is in August. Yeah, well, Kat already answered that. There you go. Yeah, I'm actually going to be 59 this year. Yippee-yi-yay. Man. Yeah, it was the dice. Or the die, I guess, just one of them. Oh, man, and you're right at the very end of it, Super Pig. I'm sorry, man. Yikes, because there's the time left is winding down. But, well, since you're here, did you hear the date and stuff for the next one? What did I say it was? The 22nd at... Yeah, Saturday the 22nd at 3 is going to be the next one. Trying to, use the dice and the coin so it kind of spreads it out randomly. Oh my goodness, Phoenix, that's insanely generous. Thank you very much. Wow. So everybody sing the praises and cheer and pats on the back for Phoenix Force 411, man. That is super, super amazing. Thank you very much. That will be a good thing for me. I can absolutely use, actually lately I've been trying to buy stuff for, to improve my setup here. Oh man, just speaking of that, there's this webcam I want to get eventually that it has, it will follow you and you can use gesture to get it to zoom in and out on you. And I think that would be good for this, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know, I just think it would be easier for me to deal with rather than, and I could set the mics up differently and have, more freedom of movement rather than kind of just trying to stay between here. But anyway, thanks again, Phoenix. That's fantastic. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. The 3 is for, I'm in California. So it's, what is that, UTC-7 or, a Pacific Daylight Savings Time now. But yeah, Pacific time. 38. Ah, you're a baby. Man, I remember being 38. Here's a funny thing. Time is such a weird thing. There are times I look back and I feel like everything has just flown by. But then there are other times I look back and it seems like something was really, really far away, time-wise. So it's this strange... Time is a weird, weird thing, man. Excuse me. Or at least my experience of it is. Yeah, it's a... I don't know. Excuse me. Well, maybe I will do a little bit more brushing. Just because why not? Why not? Oh, it's too late to do it now, but I thought about it. I was going to bring it up earlier, and then I forgot about it. I've got on my desk, I've got a copy of my dad's book, The Running Bag, which is the first in his series of the Jonas Watcher sort of... It's basically noir, you know what I mean? It's, kind of, yeah, I think film noir type things, the stories that give rise to those, like Dashiell Hammett, and I'm drawing a blank on anybody else, but Dashiell Hammett comes to mind. Maybe Mickey Spillane or something or Mickey Spillane's a character, isn't he? I didn't really ever read that much stuff, but my dad really likes that stuff. among other things. He's also a big science fiction nut, which is, I mean, got me into science fiction as a kid. But I thought about doing that just for kind of an ongoing, like read a few pages at a time kind of thing, and then the next time, you know, pick it up and read another page or two, and, you know, kind of have it be an ongoing part of the live stream thing. I don't know. What would you guys think about that? You know, I don't know. Or is that just silly? Oh, you're welcome, Super Pig. I didn't see that you had said thank you. Do I still make music? Um, I haven't put anything up on Three Monks in a Tub in a long time, but I am working on stuff. I have got several things kind of in the hopper. Um, the problem, well, see, here's the thing. My problem is um, I'm kind of, I have a pretty high standard of what I expect to be able to put out if I'm thinking of it as being, you know, kind of, I don't know, professional, so to speak. Um, And a lot of the stuff that's on the channel, quite frankly, I see as a little amateurish, you know, because I haven't really been playing in bands and stuff like that in a long time. So I'm trying to get stuff back up to a caliber that I'm happy with. And it's pretty close. And now it's a matter of, okay, which things do I want to finish first kind of thing. But there should be stuff like in the next couple of months that I should start being able to put stuff out there. Part of the, well, actually, one of them is very close to being done. I'm just unhappy with the current guitar solo on it. So I'm going to leave it in the can for a minute and come back to it after a little bit of time, see if I can do something I like better. Because I don't write my solos, I compose them. I compose the other stuff, and then I improvise the solos always. I've never written a solo ever. And actually, like if you watched my video on that channel, Thinking of a Girl, that is 100% improvised in the moment, right? There's nothing of that was composed. Same thing with Wandering Noodling, although Wandering Noodling is a mess, but yeah. But anyway, the thing that I'm working on that has a solo, I just need to put it away for a minute and come back to it, see if I can do something I like better. And then, but the thing that's keeping it from happening now, outside of that, which I should be able to do that, you know, pretty much, I don't know, next week, week after that, something, I don't know. But I don't know what to do visually for it to make the video. You know, so I'm kind of trying to think of, you know, I'll probably just end up, you know, going into a park and filming some trees and doing another kaleidoscope thing, or maybe a fractal thing or something like that, just because, you know, I'm not really a photographer. I mean, I try to do some things with multimedia things, but it's usually kind of, I don't know, whatever. I'll come up with something, but. But it's actually a song, it's actually called How Much, and I wrote it in, man, it was back in the 80s. I wrote it when I was in a band called Mr. Safari, so it would have to have been between 83, and I left them in 86, I think. So for 3 years I was in that band, so it had to be in somewhere in that time frame. There's a couple of songs like that that I've decided I want to dig up out of the past and dust them off, kind of just to, you know, I don't know, just to do it for my own amusement's sake more than anything. Do I play any metal guitar? No, I don't. Actually, I don't play anybody else's material. I mean, I used to, you know, well, whatever, yeah. And I don't really, I mean, back in the day when I was kind of first learning, you know, obviously you start learning other people's material. And I actually used to play metal guitar back then, although this would have been like Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, you know, that kind of thing, or Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne, you know, that kind of thing. That's what I was playing. And I could do a very sloppy, crappy version of Eruption. I mean, well, it wasn't that bad, but, you know, you see Eddie do it and you go, wow, and it's like, that's not my style or anything like that, but, you know, I guess I could do a passable version of Eruption, but Okay, that's the end of the thing. So it's time to start winding down, everybody. So any last minute questions or statements? No, Tim, I was never into consoles. I did play some computer games a little bit back in the 90s. They would have been, I think the company's name was Sierra, but like there was a series of games that were called King's Quest. I used to like those. The back in the 90s, I think they've kind of repurposed them for more recent release, but the 90s versions that are kind of, it's the graphics aren't that great because it's back in the 90s, right? Otherwise, when I was a kid, I'm thinking teenager, so think 80 to, well, before 80, but starting in 80s when I really kind of got the bug bad. There was an arcade near us. Um, what was it called? Starport. And I used to love that. We'd go play like Robotron and what's that other one I used to really like? I can't think of the name of it. You spun a thing and it, oh man. Of course, all the, Pac-Man and things like that. Oh, Brady, thank you very much. That's fantastic. Yay, yay, yay. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Ah, all right, cool. So you remember those ones. Yep, King's Quest, right. Yeah, yeah. Right on. Okay, well, so I'll give it just like another minute or two and then I'm going to do the sign off. All right, anything else? Anything else? Any last? Dude, Brady, that was more than generous. Don't, it's absolutely fantastic. I appreciate it, man. Any generosity is appreciated, man. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. You were quite one of the kind of Miss Pac-Man queens. Kat, do you remember those two girls that used to play the Miss Pac-Man thing down at the Family Fun Center? They were really good at it. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think you were better than them or were they better than you? I don't know. Thanks, User 47. I appreciate that. Oh, okay, cool. I don't know my magic very well, but I'm going to assume that it's a good thing to play. Right now, Tim, I'm only going to do them every other week just because it fits my work schedule. Oh, Liam, wow, thank you. I just noticed that. Again, you guys are great. I really appreciate this. That's absolutely fantastic. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just couldn't, but yeah. Those girls, though, they were cute and they worked it on purpose. You know what I mean? They were a little stuck up and they knew all the guys liked them. And you know what I mean? They were kind of not, I don't know. They were nice to look at and they were really good at Miss Pac-Man, but other than that, I didn't really like them that much. I think, that I liked going to Starport better than Family Fun Center anyway, but that's probably not going to mean anything to any of you guys because this was back in the 80s and kind of the La Mesa El Cajon area. But yeah. Okay, gang, I'm going to call that done. This is the end of this live stream. Um, okay, cool, Tim. I will see you at the next stream. Um, and yeah, all right. Thanks again, you guys, and especially you guys that were, giving me the money. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. Okay.